guys. Hey. I'm at this little park. I feel so pretty right now. This is so pretty. So what a good setting. I feel like I've come a lot more back into my true self. I feel like I must do that a lot. Oh my god, I just was rewatching an old video where I just like breathe heavy and I would just like, girl. But I feel like I just was trying to come back to my true self. Like, from back when I was a lot younger. I feel like I've been so scared of so much for such a long time. And I had a hard time even understanding that I was in fear in general. Like, I didn't even really know I had certain fears that were controlling my life. And I really had to like dive within myself and just keep asking questions and do some shadow work. And I feel like I've now came to a point where even though I may not necessarily be everything I want to be yet or be doing everything I want to do, I'm also understanding a little bit more the journey and the path. Because I don't have a destination that I necessarily want to go to. Which I feel like is a good and a bad thing. I'm juggling it. Because I feel like when you have a destination, you have something to work towards. You have your reason why. And I have things that I want to do and I want to be. Like, I want like titles given to me, I guess. And even then, like, those titles don't really mean much because I would love to make money online. I'd love to be like some sort of influencer. But what makes you an influencer? It's just you posting videos, right? What amount of people needs to watch you in order for you to be considered an influencer? Do you need to have like a little star or check next to your name in order to be like, oh, there we go, a certified influencer? No. And it's really just like, who do you want to be and how can you be that right now? What are things you can do right now? And like, your fears can be what lets you be successful. One of my things I've been fearful about is talking about my spirituality, but I am a very spiritual person to begin with. Like, I see life to be very spiritual and very magical. However, there's been people in my life where they don't see it the same, and they have certain thoughts that have been projected back on me where I just kind of doled that down. And I've been expressing it more because it's truly like who I am. And and there's more parts of me than just that, and that's always what tricks people up, is that before, when I would dull it down and people would get to know me and then they're like, wow, like, I didn't think you'd be this cool. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm a cool person, like, I don't know what to tell you. But it's, I would start expressing it and then people were like, oh, well, like, don't force that on me, da-da-da-da. It's like, I wasn't. Now, if you feel that way, that's on you. The way that they feel, that's on them. Because either way, like, you need to be who you are. because if not, you're not going to live the way you want to live. You know, you're not going to do the things that you want to do by living in other people's standards. You're not going to be happy living in their standards because, for one, you don't actually know what their standards are. And two, if you're not living like by your own standards, actually. And two, their standards are a reflection of themselves. And so, there's a bit. But, yeah, their standards are low, and how they treat themselves is low, and why are you trying to be good for them? You know, you can still obviously have, like, love and respect for the people, but, you know, you don't need to try to get them to like you. You don't have to morph yourself into somebody else, and then, you know, you constantly, that's where like anxiety gets built too, is that you're constantly trying to morph yourself for all of these different people, when all of these different people have different standards. And half the time, people don't even like who they are, to be honest. And which is crazy to me. Like, you know, you go and compliment somebody and then they turn it down, or, you know, it's not. You can see people in such a bright light, and then they can see themselves in not the same light you're seeing them as. And, you know, you almost give away your power, because the only person, well, actually, I don't think that's true, but, you know, you should also be seeing yourself from that light as well. One thing that I used to say to myself is that, like, when I was first starting, like, my confidence journey, was that, you know, I'm gonna treat myself like I treat my best friends. You know, I'm not gonna call my best friends ugly, because I genuinely don't think they are. And even if they're not looking their best, like, I'm still gonna say what I think is great about them. And then, so it's not, you know, it's definitely, you take steps in doing it, but the thing is that you can do it. You know, you can do hard things. You can be who you are. It's just sometimes you need to break down who you're built to be in order to rebuild who you are. And I feel like that's where I'm at, is that I've broken down who I felt like I needed to be for other people, who I was trying to be for other people. I feel like I've honestly, like, cleared my slate, and now it's like learning, like, okay, well then, who am I and who do I want to be? And, you know, there's a lot of things I want to be, which I think makes it really hard. There's so many things I want to do, there's so many things I want to be, and so it's almost hard to try to find the path. But that means that it doesn't mean I won't do it all. I was on a call today, and it was, I don't think it's a scam. I really don't think it's a scam, but I would just have to invest into something that I don't necessarily have the finance to invest in right now. And you know, I was like, okay, like, you know, not right now, and I don't know when I'll get back to it. And I was like, and honestly, like, some of the stuff that you're telling me, like, I could do this now. Like, and he was like, well, if you would have already done it, and that's what we're here for. And the way that almost, like, triggered me, because first off, whatever I have my mindset to, you just watch me, because I do have really big dreams, and I feel like I've part of me has been insecure about telling people my big dreams, and which has almost like held me back from doing what I actually want to do. And it's like, well, first off, that guy doesn't know my past, you know, and it's just, I will do these, I will do it. And I feel like once you find, because that's part of your confidence, once you find the confidence and the drive to do it, like, the passion inside you will only burn brighter. And I'm sure you have the same thing where, you know, there's stuff that you want to do, there's things that people have told you no, there's people that is like, you can't do that, or how do you expect to do that? And so, you know, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I know I will do it, and I know you will watch me. You know, everything will work out. And it's really just having like the faith and confidence within yourself. Like, it really always comes back to yourself. If you can't find, like, you know, a lot. Okay, I don't know if that messed anything up. My phone's gonna die. But anything you're trying to seek outside of you is not gonna give you sustainable happiness. It's not gonna give you sustainable security and peace. Like, it has to be within yourself, and it always comes back to yourself. You know, you want a great love story. How can you take care of yourself? And then, even then, like, don't you want somebody who takes care of themselves and to be with them? You know, if you have a great amount of money, well, where can you invest your money? Where are you just, you know, letting it free, like letting your money just slip away into like things that aren't, I'm trying to find the right word. Begins with an A. And I know I can't quite remember it right now, but like, where can you put money in that's money's gonna make money for you, is basically what it is. And it's really always coming back to yourself. If you're trying to find security from other people, how are you secure within yourself? And honestly, it's also seeing where you already have it in your life. You know, being grateful for what you have, and then you can, you know, once you have to stop looking at like the lack that you have in order to see like what you actually have in order to gain it. And really, that's like the law of attraction, where it's like, you know, you want love. Where do you already have love in your life? Who's the people that love you? Who's the animals that love you? Who are the strangers that just show you love? Where do you have love naturally in your life? Security, you know, you want to feel secure within people. Where is that already? You know, like, you know, do you feel secure within your job? Do you feel secure within your family? Do you feel secure with your friends? You know, where are you rich? You know, I feel pretty rich that I can go to this river and be by this tree and just be in like a really nice, clean, comfortable setting. That's richness. That's not something everyone gets to do. You know, having 2 legs that work, you know, being able to walk, that's not something everyone gets to do. Being healthy, having clean water, that's not something everyone gets to have. You know, where do you already have these things? And again, it comes back to your dreams, where, you know, I don't necessarily know where I want to be, however I do know where I want to go. I feel like I almost need to like set in some goals for myself, but they'll come anyways, because I don't have like a destination where I want to be. But even when you do get to the destination, then what? Then you almost like lose yourself. So I am kind of glad that I don't have a destination on where I want to be, but I do know in the direction that I want to go. And then it's, where can you do that now? Where can you be yourself now? And, if I want to be an influencer, or I want people to listen to me, then I can make videos now. And some videos may only get 50 views. I think my largest one right now only has like 300. But honestly, I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, like 300 different people watched my video. And like I was really grateful for that. And it's just finding gratefulness in the process of everything, because you have to be mediocre. You have to not be great at something in the beginning. And it sucks because that's not where you want to be. But you know where you want to go. You can find success in your fears. Part of me used to be fearful about being perceived. Part of me used to be fearful about talking about my spirituality. Part of me was fearful about talking about my big dreams, and it's just not anymore. Because I know who I am, and I feel like the more I am myself, the more of my life I'm gonna be selfish about it. Respecting others, being selfish with myself. And I'm hoping the more I say this in like every video, but the more I talk about my life, I can help others. I do want to help others, and I feel like I have stuff to say. And I hope you have a great day. And I hope you find your path. And then I love you. Bye.